Maybe just to open up, just a general question to start, starting with you, perhaps, Connor, just a reaction to Tuesday's announcement about the format and the potential of returning to play later this summer.
Yeah, it's exciting, and obviously it's the first of many steps that need to take place for us to get back. But it's exciting that we took that step, and we're working towards getting back to playing hockey, which is what we all want to do.
Darnell?
Yeah, no, I'll just echo a lot of what Connor just said. I think everyone's excited. That's the first step towards what we hope is playing hockey again. Obviously, there are a lot of hurdles that we still need to overcome to get it going. But it's exciting that we're even having this discussion right now. And I think just that as a hockey player, you just want to get back to playing.
Thank you. We'll open it up now for questions from the media. First question will be from Rob Tychkowski, Post Media. I'll unmute your microphone in a second. Second question, be ready, would be Mark Spector. So go ahead.
Okay, Connor. First off, I wanted your thoughts just on being included in the Return to Play Committee. It's a pretty big nod of respect from the NHL that at 23 they wanted you involved in some pretty high-level talks. And were you comfortable having a voice in those discussions? And further to that, what were those discussions like? Was everybody on the same page, or did they get a little heated?
Yeah, it was definitely exciting to be a part of the process. It was there was lots of back and forth. I can't say that everyone agreed on everything, but that was the point of the committee, is to debate stuff and take it to a larger sample size. And I feel like we've done our job in putting together a format, and I'm not sure where it goes from here. Whether that same committee stays together and we see it through or not. But it was definitely exciting to be a part of it. Lots of mix of veteran guys and younger guys with Scheif, and guys that I know a little bit. So it was fun to be a part of it for sure.
Next question for Mark Spector. Mark, your microphone should be unmuted.
Should be. Got a question for both guys. So let's just go right forward to the start of this playoffs here. No fans, right? So a lot of things are going to be different. Connor, first, can you think back to the first time you played in Chicago Stadium and you heard the anthem and you stood in the blue line and you looked at that giant building and all those fans, and it was, it's loud and it's crazy. Is it really home ice advantage for the Blackhawks? And what was it like being on the other side of that for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Chicago is one of the most fun buildings to play in. Their fans are great, but I'd like to think our fans are better. So there's definitely going to be some loss of home ice advantage for sure. All you get is probably the changing and last change and whatnot. But it's not going to be the same. That there's no doubt about that. It sucks, frankly, but we got to do what we got to do to get back to playing hockey. And I'm sure those fans will be cheering loud, in their living rooms or wherever they're watching from. So I think it'll suck, but we got to do what we got to do.
Next question, Ryan Rashog, TSN. Ryan, you should be unmuted. Go ahead.
Thanks for doing this, guys. Connor, for you, I wonder, I know that there was a lot of talk about the format and what the playoff format would look like, and that's where the vote was. But I wonder how much conversation you guys have had about issues of safety as a return to play committee, how big a topic it is, and if, things like what happens if players start to test positive and what safety contingency plans will be in place. How big a factor is that for your committee?
Quite frankly, we were trying to get the format in place first, and we've done that. So now I think those are questions that we'll start to need answers to. Obviously that's a huge part of it. Safety of the players and of everyone involved is paramount, and that's the main issue that's got to get solved right now. And I think that's what needs to get answered before anything happens and we move forward. So the first step was putting the format together, and now we got to start to connect the dots and start putting answers to those types of questions.
Next question, Adam Cook from CTV. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, hi guys, thanks for doing this. The NHL has said that it would need about about 25 to 30,000 tests for all the players. And if there is a positive test, that doesn't necessarily mean that play would stop. Just for both of you, what would be your level of comfort, or would you be comfortable with playing if a player does test positive?
Yeah, I don't know if comfort's a word. Obviously, it's a virus that has affected hundreds of thousands of families around the world. From people losing their lives to it. So it's. I mean, that's a tough question. Like, what are you comfortable with? I think every single person is at a different comfort level. I mean, it's easy for a lot of people to sit back and say, you guys are in a low risk demographic. But like I said, there's hundreds of thousands of families that have been affected by this. That if you were to ask them that question, they would say, there's no level of comfort. So with each person, it's going to differ. This is an area and something that we've never had to deal with. So those are questions that I think as a collective, as a whole, as players, we have to come together and say, if one guy tests positive, but everyone else on the team tests negative, I think that's where you're going to be comfortable playing. But at the same time, that's where the importance of testing, and that's where it's going to come in, no matter what the format, the testing is going to be huge.
Okay, next up, question for Reed Wilkins. Reed?
Guys, just wanted to throw you a question about the format for the tournament. And, a team like Montreal is going to be in. Chicago, who you guys are paired up with, will be in as well. And if the season had been finished, those teams really had a long shot or no shot to be in the postseason. How do you ultimately feel about expanding the format and having some of these lower percentage teams to make the playoffs now being in and having an equal shot to win the Stanley Cup? And in your case, you're going to have to play one of them in that qualifying round.
Yeah, I think, that was a huge issue in putting the format together. Trying to figure out numbers, who deserves to be in, who deserves, maybe a handicap and whatnot. But, ultimately there's no way. I mean, we've beaten this thing to death. There's just no way to handicap those teams in a way. This is the most, maybe it's not the most fair way, but I think the integrity of the Stanley Cup playoffs is still going to be intact. And let's say a team like Montreal, beats Pittsburgh and does go on to win the Stanley Cup. I think they're a very, deserving team. If they're, going to win 5 rounds and go through some really good teams, then, that maybe they do deserve it. So, there's never going to be a perfect scenario. There's never going to be a perfect format. This just needs to check off most of the boxes, and it seems to work for most teams, and we just have to live with that and play the games and see what happens.
Next question, Jason Greger, TSN Radio. Jason, you should be there.
Thanks, guys. Connor and Darnell, both of you, I know you're good friends with Leon and Connor. It's rare to have teammates both win the Art Ross. Just give me your thoughts on Leon winning it. I think he's well deserving of it. And what do you thought about his season?
Obviously, he had a great year. He played great and was very deserving of winning the Art Ross. But collectively, I think our group has done a good job and allowed many individuals to have success and put ourselves in a good spot here to play in the play-in round and try to earn a spot in the playoffs. So obviously Leo's had a great season and very deserving, but we got lots more to play for.
Question, Kate Pedersen, Oilers.com. Go ahead, Kate.
Hey guys, just 2 questions for both of you. Now that the regular season is officially wrapped up, can you pinpoint a favorite moment from the season?
Doc?
Favorite moment? Honestly, it's pretty tough. My favorite part, I think, of each and every season is like one of the first road trips. When we got to go to New York, and you go on the road, you get to have dinners with the guys, spend more time with the guys. So I think that New York road trip, just because there's a lot of new faces and a lot of new names in the group, and getting to know each other and seeing how tight of a group that we had, and how much respect and how much we want to play for each other. I think that was probably my favorite moment, that road trip.
Yeah, I probably agree with Doc. Early on in the season is always an exciting time for any team, and obviously we get off to a good. Everyone was in a good mood and coming together and realizing that we have a shot to put together a pretty good team. So it was, like Doc said, that road trip was fun, but that whole kind of first month was awesome.
Okay, next question, Daniel Nugent-Bowman from The Athletic. Daniel, go ahead.
Hi, thanks for doing this, guys. I have a question for each of you. I'll start with Connor. I'm just curious on this committee if you kind of advocated in any way for the Oilers and where you guys were in the standings as to how you guys would ultimately fare and play in this format. And for Darnell, given that the Oilers were the only second place team to have to play in the play-in series, what went into ultimately voting in favor of the format?
Well, I think being on that committee, you have to take a step back and you're not vouching for the Oilers. You want to do what's best for the league and try to keep 31 teams happy and 700 players or whatever. So you need to take a step back and look at it unselfishly and ultimately I think that's what all five guys did. Obviously Ron Hainsey was okay with letting his team just not okay with it, but play what's best for the league. Ottawa doesn't play again this season. I'm sure that couldn't have been easy as well. So lots of guys had to make sacrifices, and the Oilers were part of that. We had a good season and put ourselves in a good spot, but we still got to play in a play-in round, and that's the way it goes. So it's best for the league, and guys understood that.
Yeah, and from the standpoint of us voting, like we run like a true democracy. So our vote is just our vote is just a picture of what our team believes in. I think Connor talked a little bit before about putting together this format. You talked about integrity of the format. This is going to be hard no matter what position you're in. For in our position, you have to win a 5-game series and then play a team that's played maybe a couple exhibition games basically for seeding, and then they have to play against a team that's already played 3 to 5 hard-fought games. So there's no perfect situation here. We want to play. I think we showed that, and no matter what position you're in, you got to win every series to get that ultimate goal. So we could sit here and complain or hope for a different format, but at the end of the day, the return to play committee put together a good format. They worked hard on it, and if we have to play an extra series, we have to play an extra series. We deal with that.
Next question, Stephen Wino, Associated Press. Go ahead, Stephen.
Hey guys, would love if both of you could answer this, please. Following up on a couple of the earlier testing questions, the league has said it wants to test players every day during games. Are you okay with that? And would you feel safe playing as long as you're being tested every day?
Testing is big. We're playing testing every day. It kind of limits. It begins to limit the potential of getting the virus. So if that's what it takes, if that's what the professionals who are in this field and tackle these challenges each and every day, if that's what they believe is the best option, then that's the way we have to go.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're not in control of testing and whatnot, so it's not our decision. But yeah, I think you have to get tested in a time like this, and you want to get tested as frequently as you can to catch it right away. So, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I'm not the president. I don't know what testing is all about. So, I just do my job.
Question, Ken Campbell from the Hockey News. Ken, you should be unmuted. Go ahead.
Thank you, guys. Quick question for Connor. Connor, going back to the format, you were obviously part of the committee. You're also, one of the most the most high-profile players in the league, and I can only assume that you could have really dug your heels in on this and fought it, but you chose not to for the good of the league, and you mentioned that. Was that a difficult sort of dance for you to do, and was it difficult to balance, the Oilers' interests with, what's best for everyone?
No, it wasn't tough, honestly. Again, I think everyone in that committee, I think everyone around the league has to take a step back and say what's best for the league, not what's best for me or my team. Obviously, we were in a position where we were going to be included in any kind of format. So, that was a positive. But, there's going to be teams that aren't thrilled with it. There's going to be teams that are, ecstatic about the format. It's just the way it is. I mean, we got a lot of guys to please, and you can't please them all. So, unfortunately, we're one of those teams that was kind of on the bubble of being in the top four or being, in the play-ins, and we're not in the top four, and Dallas probably deserves to be there. So, we'll do what we have to do and play this play-in and get the job done and hopefully move on to an exciting playoffs.
Next question, Paul Gazzola, Oilers.com. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey guys, hope you're doing well. For both of you, the power play from this year is 4th best all time, and the special teams sum is 2nd best all time. What caused all that success this clubs from the 70s and 80s?
You kind of broke up there for a little bit, so we didn't catch all of it. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of credit is due to the coaching staff. Gully runs the power play, and Jimmy runs the PK, and they've done a good job of coming in and implementing their systems. Gully's been there for 2 years now, and just kind of built off of what we had last year. And I can't really speak for the penalty kill side. I don't do a ton of it. So power play wise, I think we've had that same power play for probably 2 years now, and that helps a lot. So we've had lots of success on the specialty teams, and probably need to be a little bit better 5-on-5.
Next question, Mark Spector, Sportsnet.ca. Go ahead, Mark.
Thanks, guys, for one more. Darnell, you played in the playoffs in Edmonton a few years ago, 2017. The playoffs are about momentum. They're different because the crowds are electric. I guess I'd just ask you, how will the players create their own excitement, without the help of a crazy building and the momentum that gets created by the fans? How do the players make up for that?
I thought about that a little bit. Have you watched The Last Dance with Michael Jordan? Because I think that's a perfect example. You see his mindset in a lot of those games of creating your own environment, creating your own fire, and I think that's a test that everyone that is in this situation is going to have to go through, having the ability to kind of create your own excitement, create your own. I mean, there shouldn't be a whole lot that you need to get you going because you are still playing for a Stanley Cup. Yeah, there's no fans there, and yeah, you might be in the hub city, but there's an opportunity to win the Stanley Cup. And I think that should be enough motivation to get anyone going. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of things that aren't ideal that come along with this situation, but that's the world. The world is in that position right now. So the Stanley Cup should be all the fire you really need. And it's another test. It's another way you could look at it as another challenge that makes going through this whole process as hard as it's going to be. That's a whole other tier to it.
A couple more questions. Next question will be Josh Clipperton from Canadian Press. Josh, go ahead.
Hey guys, thanks for doing this. Just wondering, Connor, how many hours did you spend on Zoom as part of the Return to Play committee? And from the players' perspective, when you're talking to the guys in the wider field, how much was fairness and integrity of the Stanley Cup important when you guys are talking about like best of 3, best of 5, best of 7s?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been on a Zoom call until this whole thing happened, but I'm definitely a bit of a Zoom expert now. So, yeah, definitely been on a fair bit. And just kind of to your second question, yeah, that was, absolutely trying to keep the integrity of the playoffs, fairness, who deserves to be in, who doesn't, all these types of questions that, we've talked extensively about. So, like I said, this is a format that is obviously not perfect, but it's the best we got. So that's what we're going with.
One final question. We'll give it to Ryan Rashog, TSN. Go ahead, Ryan.
Thanks, Andre. There's a sentiment out there that there may be some sort of home ice advantage if a team from a hub city is allowed to play in its own building. Connor, is this something that was discussed at all among the return to play or the players in general? And and I recognize it's a bit of a different question to you because Edmonton's in the running, but do you feel that there would be a competitive advantage to playing in Edmonton if it hosts?
That was something that hasn't been talked about too much. Again, that's part of that those details that you got to put together and whatnot. So, do I think there would be? I would say probably not. It's going to feel weird in that building, no matter where you play, no matter if you've played there 100 times, no matter if you've never played there. So the building is going to feel weird just with no fans being in there and whatnot. So I would say probably not. That's just my opinion. But
okay, actually, one more question. Sorry, from Stefan Herget from NHL.com, Germany. Stefan, go ahead.
I have two questions, and certainly it's about Leon Draisaitl. The first one is for Connor. How have you benefited from Leon's success on the ice, both personally and the whole team? And the second one is for both of you. What have you noticed in Leo's game this year that you've not seen before?
How about personally? I don't know. He gives me nice passes, so that definitely helps me out. But more team wise. I mean, what he's done for our group has been great. A lot was made with us playing together, or us not playing together. So it just gives us that kind of different look. So obviously he's had a great season and he's helped both our team and me personally out a ton.
Yeah, Darnell?
What's changed? I don't know if anything's really changed. He's always been very confident. He's always been an unbelievable hockey player, and he just continues to work. And he worked all summer, put himself in the position to come in and have success, and he didn't change much. He just kept playing.
Thanks very much to everyone. Thanks, Connor and Darnell. Appreciate everyone's patience as well as we figure out this new technology. But thanks very much for doing this. Thanks for the members of the media. Have a great day. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.